And yesterday we learned what a ratio was. A ratio is, Kevin and Nevaeh, you all were not here yesterday, so you need to write this down in your math notebook, your math journal. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. So we talked about ratios yesterday. A ratio can be written in 3 different ways. A ratio can be written in one way, 5 to 3. In other words, 5 dogs to 3 cats. A ratio can also be written 5 to 3. A ratio can be written 5 to 3. So that's what we did yesterday. We talked about ways to write a ratio. Today we are going to move into finding the equivalent ratio, and we're going to use the equivalent ratio to find the unit rate. So I want you all to write down in your math journals the term and the definition of a unit rate and an equivalent ratio. A unit rate is a rate in which the second quantity in the comparison is 1 unit. The equivalent ratio, Jerry, the equivalent ratio is a ratio that names the same comparison. So our objective of today, is to find the equivalent ratio and use it to calculate the unit rate. That's what we're doing today. So how do I find the equivalent ratio? Let's do that now. Let's take an example. Okay, we have 5 to 3. Let's do 2 to 7. I want you to write this down. 2 to 7. Let's say we have a ratio of 2 to 7. I have a ratio of boys to girls. 2 boys to every 7 girls. How do I find the equivalent ratio? The way I find an equivalent ratio is I multiply the terms by the same number. I'm going to either multiply or divide the terms by the same number. I'm going to either multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, or I'm going to divide the top and the bottom terms by the same number. That's how we find an equivalent ratio. So how do I do that? I want to find the equivalent ratio of boys to girls, 2 to 7. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. Let's say I multiply the top by 2 and I multiply the bottom by 2. 2 times 2 equals what? 4. 7 times 2 equals 14. So my equivalent ratio of boys to girls, my equivalent ratio of 2 to 7 is equivalent to the ratio 4 to 14. Jerry, do you have a question?
What is 2 to
2 over 2. Why did I choose 2 over 2? Okay, good question. So the question was, Jerry asked, why did I choose 2 to multiply this ratio by? Good question. Well, 2 over 7 times 1 equals what? 2 over 7. So 2 over 7 times 1 is still 2 over 7. So 2 over 2 is equal to 1. Good question. So I'm multiplying each term, the top term and the bottom term, by 1. Good question. So 7 times 2 equals 14. 2 times 2 equals 4. So I'm really multiplying the terms of the top and the terms of the bottom times 2 over 2, or 1. So the equivalent ratio of 2 to 7 is equivalent to 4 over 14. It's okay? Good question. Let's do another one. Let's do a division this time. Ratio of 8 to 24. How do I find the equivalent ratio of 8 to 24? Let's divide it this time. 8 divided by 24. Divided by 4. And the top term, 8 divided by 4. So 8 divided by 4 equals 2 on the top. And 24 divided by 4 equals
6.
Okay. So the ratio of 8 to 24 is equivalent to the ratio of 2 to 6. Give me a thumbs up if you're with me so far. Nevaeh? Okay. Give me a thumbs down if you're not with me yet. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say we're making punch this time. We are making punch for a birthday party. The recipe for the punch is 3 cups of cranberry juice to 2 cups of orange juice. We're going to make 5 cups of punch. I need to find the equivalent ratio of 3 cups of cranberry juice to 2 cups of orange juice. Remember, we still have 2 units like we did with our definition, measured in 2 different units. A comparison of 2 quantities by division. We have our 2 different units, cranberry juice, orange juice. Now I need to find the equivalent ratio. So let's multiply this by 2. I have to multiply the top term by the same number as the bottom term. 3 times 2, 2 times 2. So let's multiply the top term first. 3 times 2 equals
6.
3 cups times 2 equals 6. 2 times 2 equals
4.
Thank you. So I have found my equivalent ratio. 3 cups of cranberry juice to 2 cups of orange juice is equivalent to 6 cups of cranberry juice to 4 cups of orange juice. We are finding the equivalent ratios so that we can get to finding the unit rate. Give me a thumbs up if you're with me so far. Give me a thumbs down if you're not quite there yet. Okay, let's move on. We're going to transition to finding the unit rate. We are finding the unit rate by using the equivalent ratio. So I want you to write this down. Maria pays $60 for 5 lessons. $60 for 5 lessons. What are our two different units? Dollars and lessons. Maria pays $60 for 5 lessons. Well, we know by the definition of unit rate, the definition is a rate in which the second quantity in the comparison is 1 unit. So we need to find the equivalent ratio so that the second unit is 1. How do we find the equivalent ratio where the second unit is 1? So that's an unknown. Let me use a different color. This is an unknown amount. We know that it costs $60 for 5 lessons. How much does it cost for 1 lesson? Well, we need to solve our equivalent ratio. Caleb, what is 5 divided by what equals 1?
5.
Okay, 5 divided by 5 equals 1. Whatever I divide by on the bottom, I have to divide by that number on the top. Thank you very much. So, Amaya, 60 divided by 5 equals 12. So now I have my unknown number. My unknown number is $12. So I now know that it costs $60 for 5 lessons. How much does it cost for 1 lesson? It costs $12. We have just solved the unit rate by using equivalent ratios. Let's do another one. Michael walks 30 meters in 20 seconds. 30 meters, 20 seconds. What are my 2 units? My different units? Meters, seconds. Meters to seconds. That's my ratio. He walks 30 meters in 20 seconds. How do I calculate the unit rate? Well, I know I have to have the second quantity equal to 1 unit. So how do I solve for 30 meters to 20 seconds equals to how many meters can he walk in 1 second? How many meters can he walk in 1 second? So how do I solve for this equivalent ratio? 20 divided by what equals 1. Jocelyn. 20 divided by 20 equals 1. Very good, thank you. Whatever I do to the bottom term, I have to do to the top term. So now 30 divided by 20 equals what? Well, we might need to do some long division here. 30 divided by 20. Does 20 go into 3? No. 20 does not go into 3. Does 20 go into 30? Yes. 1 times 20 equals 20. 30 take away 20 is 10. I am going to, let's put my decimal point here. It's important to keep my decimal points aligned. Does 20 go into 10? No. So I'm going to add a 0 and bring it down. 20 goes into 100 how many times?
5.
5 times. 5 times 20 is 100. So that means 30 divided by 20 is what?
1.5.
1.5. So my unknown is 1.5. So how many meters, what's his name, Michael? How many meters does Michael walk in 1 second? He walks 1.5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, he walks, we're solving for meters. Whoops, you guys are not catching me this time. He walks 1.5 meters. We're solving for the M here. He walks 1.5 meters in 1 second. That's why it's important to keep our units straight. We are solving for meters. How far does he walk in 1 second? There we go. He walks 1.5 meters. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you are with me. All right, so let's turn to page. Let's turn to page 286 in your math book. I want you to turn to page 286. Let's see. Let's do this together. I'm going to ask you. Let's solve for the unknown. On page 286, we're solving for the unknown of equivalent ratios. On 286, the ratio of 5 to 6 is equivalent to some unknown number to 24. So how would I solve for the unknown number? 6 divided by what? 6. Let's multiply. 6 times what equals 24? Yes, Jerry.
4.
6 times 4 equals 24. Whatever I multiply on the bottom, I multiply on the top. 5 times 4 equals what? 20. So my unknown is 20. Let's do another one to get you started. 1/4 is equivalent to, actually 1 is to 4 is equivalent to 8 is to